Thank you, Madam Chair, Vice Chair Riley, and members of the committee for allowing me to present House Bill 51. It's a straightforward bill that makes facial coverings optional in schools. I bring this bill to you because of the problems brought on by mask wearing. Children's suicide rates are up. The CDC, in a study, has shown that it is up over 50% for girls and just under 4% for women during this pandemic. Excuse me, just under 50%, 40% for boys. We communicate more with more than just voice. Facial expressions are necessary to understand not only the words, but what the person speaking is trying to get across. There have been studies, and there are speech delays. There is I don't know if I call it a disease, but there is I'll call it a disease. There's a problem. It's called glue ear, which I had never heard of before. And many children suffer with it, and it can lead to temporary hearing loss. We've gotten back to phonics and trying to make sure that the people we're speaking to, the children, understand something called phonological awareness. And it is difficult, for example, when you're wearing a mask, the person you're talking to is wearing a mask, to differentiate between a P and a T. That's very important. Masks have caused asthma and breathing issues. Masks create a warm, humid environment, which is an ideal setting for yeast, bacteria, and other flora, which supports acne. I'm sure that you've all noticed that acne is worse during the pandemic, especially when wearing a mask all day. Children are the least likely to catch, spread, and suffer with COVID. Kids put masks in purses, in their pockets, pull them out when they're going into school, take them off when coming out, whether they're going to just outside for a break, and then when they shove them back in their purse or their pocket, and then they pull them out again when they go back to school, go back to the school building. If you take a look at sporting events, you'll note that masks are almost non-existent, and the crowd is largely made up of adults who are much more likely to catch and spread COVID than are children. And the spectators are also closer to each other than the children are in class. I have been able to find no instances of a mass COVID spread after a sporting event. Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Connecticut, Delaware, the president's home state, and Oregon, none of them hotbeds of conservatism, all have announced an end to school mask mandates. There have been studies that show that masks don't work in lessening the spread of COVID. Even our own University of Louisville has reported that. Parents should be able to make their own decision regarding masks through high school. College students can vote for president. Shouldn't they also be allowed to make their own masking decision? Madam Chair, I hope there are no questions, but I assume that there might be one or two. So with that, I'll end my presentation.
Thank you. We do have a committee sub, and members, you were provided that committee sub by email yesterday. If you could briefly explain the committee sub, and we'll address that.
Thank you. The committee sub, the original bill talked about viruses, including COVID. The committee sub takes out other viruses. This committee sub only refers to COVID-19.